Back against the same tree, a convulsing cry. Again my legs drawn up and resting my elbows on my knees and my head on my folded arms. I wept because I was nothing, nothing at all in this world. And that morning I walked up to the woman's house where my car was parked, and without saying goodbye, I drove away and headed west. Isn't that a cool, like, little ritual? Don't you kind of dig that? It's kind of a cool little thing.
Well, I think Jimmy Santiago Baca is a really good writer. His book, Place to Stand, is a really good book. You know, it's a little hard to understand, but at the same time, he told the truth about his life. Today was a really good time with him. He was clear in everything, you know, so I think all the people here today, all of us, we learn a lot.
Well, personally, like, I didn't really know who he was at first, and so I started reading this book, Working in the Dark. I obtained it by borrowing it from a teacher, and ever since I started reading it, like, I got into it. And when I first read it, like, I found out he was in Blood In, Blood Out. He was the one that made it.
Blood in.
So that kind of made me more intrigued, and I don't know, just hearing that he was going to be on campus, like, I wanted to come and visit him and see what his writing was about.
I've heard about him, like my professor told us about the book, and then I was told that he was in Blood In, Blood Out, and I've seen that movie like a lot of times.
Blood out.
And like his story is pretty similar, like his upbringing is pretty similar to a lot of people I know, so it's pretty motivating to see how he got out of the system and stuff, and he made a life for himself.
I think my motivation to come here was because our professor, like, if he's into something, we're probably going to be into it as well.
What really grasped me, I didn't know much about him or his books or anything, but once I started hearing him talk, I totally felt like he was just talking about the men in my family. This is exactly the same story that, I mean, he's literally describing my brothers. You know, they didn't know how to read, they didn't know how to write. They were just being passed on in the educational system. And just knowing a lot of that, really, I felt very attracted to wanting to read his book.
This whole book's about a convict coming out of prison and how hard it is for a convict to make it. That's what the whole book is about. It's so difficult you all know that, your uncles, your brothers, your dads, everybody, your aunts, they all come out of prison, and the first thing that happens is they become major pains in the ass because there's nobody to help them. There's no way to get them going. And the system makes it that way. They make it so that the recidivism rate is 90%. They make it so that people go back to prison.
I've been thinking about it a little bit, and I said, you know, I feel a disconnection between my brother, that is, one of them is free now, and the other one is imprisoned for life. But once they got out, it's like they're strangers to you. You know, I don't know this brother. I don't know, you know, his mentality is not connecting with what I know and from the last memories I had of spending my time with them. So I felt that maybe by reading his book, I will be able to understand my brother's points of view in life, because he's actually explaining a lot of what he went through and how he was being treated in prison. And I want to be able to connect my relationship with my brother instead of distancing myself because I don't understand what he's explaining to me of his life, how he sees things.
When he was talking about how he would take his son to go with him to like gang and stuff, it reminded me of my father. My father's in prison, and he would, like, my mother would always talk about it, like similar situations would happen.
My little baby ran out of the truck right after me. Poppy, no, stop. Yeah, he was about that big. And guess what? I stopped. Never again.
In that, I feel that how he says forgiving, you know, is one of the most difficult things to do. Once you forgive yourself, then you can forgive everyone else.
But there came a time when I had to just stop and say, I forgive myself for whatever the hell reason I was trying to hurt myself so much. The thing about us is you can kill us, it's no big deal. But we will protect our children. We love others more than we love ourselves. And that's not healthy. We have to love ourselves and others.
The thing that stood out to me was just to learn to forgive. And that's something that I've heard a lot, but I don't know, it gave me like a different approach to my life in a way, and how I should approach with like others, especially those that are having troubles with addictions, and ways for me to help them out, as well as religion-wise.
What I'm trying to tell you is that if you have a spiritual life, it permeates itself into the very air that we breathe. Because spirituality is that. It's all of this. It's all that.
He seems to be very broad and happy, especially with all the stuff that he went through, and I want to be able to be that person too.
I think the part that he was talking about how drugs kind of affected him, and how he said that you shouldn't take it to your own sanctuary, because I'm kind of having problems with that right now. So I feel like I connected with him on that part.
The one rule you should have immediately is never take it home. Ever. Don't ever put it into your sanctuary, your refuge, where your mother is, where your sisters are, where you live. Don't ever take it.
The fact that we're here, and he takes that by heart, and he even said it himself, that he loves coming and hearing people talk, and them having to ask questions, and because we're usually the shy ones. We're usually the last ones to ask questions, and that's always an issue in our culture as well, and in school, obviously.
But the reason I love you all, the reason I came here for 5 days, I never do, is because you ask questions.
I asked him a question, he answered. I don't know if, I asked him about mariposa.
Yes, and the book you mentioned to mariposa.
Yeah, so he answered he really don't love her, but she loved him a lot, So I think it's a little different that what he said on the book, because he was really interested in her on the book, but anyway. And he said the same, that he loved people over here in City College because people here is really smart, and I agree with him. We are here because we have we have an interest to learn something.
It's a very rich culture that we have here, and just the fact that we have programs like Puente and EOPS, where we can interact with our professors and classmates for 2 semesters, and our counselors. It's like a family. I think that's how I see it.
Actually, I feel that I have a family here. There's times where I'm like, you know what, I'm done. I'm gonna quit. I struggle. I have 2 children. I'm a head of household, and I don't work much because I'm a full-time student and I do work study here. And I have the struggle with, dealing everyday life situations out there, which kind of want to pull me away from education sometimes. But then I think about it. I say, if I quit, I'm not going to have these people who believe in me, who every day remind me of these good things that they see in me. I mean, I was called an advocate, and I was like, what is an advocate? And then when I learned, I was like, oh yeah, definitely, that's me,
Do it, Mijita. Raise your hand up. Raise it up. Raise it up. Raise it up. Because you've earned the right to ask questions. Right?
It's pretty cool that he came, and I'm very excited to, to read his book.
It sounds very interesting.
Yeah,
I'm excited to read it.
I'm gonna purchase it for sure.
I did. I purchased A Place to Stand.
I bought the movie. Yeah,
Oh.
I got the movie.
Ah, so did I. It costs a lot.
Yeah.
Well, cool. It's a good investment.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank you.
talking to me.
Thank you, man.
All right.
All right.